Well, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And my guests tonight are Erin and Dan,
Hello.
and they're here from Veterans Incorporated, which is an organization you're based out of Worcester.
Headquartered in Worcester, but we have locations in all 6 New England states.
Oh, so you're headquartered out of Worcester, but you cover all New England.
We're out there.
Wow. And believe it or not, and I know people do realize, there are a lot of veterans that come back and they have a lot of problems.
Yep.
And, well, you're a veteran, Dan.
Yes, I am. United
And-
States Army.
Army too,
Oh, there you go, sir.
50 years ago.
Oh, wow. Mine's not too long.
Goes by fast.
Yes, it does.
Oh boy, 50. I can't think. I think of it. I said, oh my God, it's over 50 years I've been.
Wow. Yeah, I'm third generation military.
Oh,
Absolutely. My grandfather fought in Korea. My dad fought in Nam. My uncle fought in the Gulf War, and I fought in Iraq.
wow.
So we've been a little way around.
But now that's close. Your dad was in the Gulf War.
My dad was in Vietnam. His
mean-
brother was in the Gulf War.
His brother. So your uncle was in the Gulf War, and that's not too far apart.
Oh, yep. And we went in and finished the job, so
Yeah.
to speak. Hmm.
The thing is, it was still at war.
Yeah, yeah. That's the awful part about it.
I mean, we thought Vietnam was, well, after 10 years, and that was a long time. We're 20 years now.
Mhm.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight, so
I know.
that's the sad part.
And that's what, and you know, I went in. I like to say they took me kicking because I got drafted.
Okay.
But after I got in there, I said, well, it's not that bad. And then when I got out, I joined the Guard. But today, the Guard, I mean, when I joined the Guard, we went to summer camp. And that was it. That was, well, except Blizzard of '78, I was gone for a month because we were activated.
Boy.
But other than that, you know, it wasn't bad. You did your weekends and that was it, and your summer camp. But now, those guys are going away for a year at a time.
Yeah, they rotate out
Yeah.
pretty heavily.
So now you got a lot of vets that are really, and it takes a lot out of you to do that. It's, you know, you have your finances can get hurt. You can get hurt pretty bad, and a lot of guys are coming back pretty much hurt. And I think that's where you come in, right?
We are. We have multiple services that we offer. Most people know us for Grove Street, for our transitional housing.
Yes.
They don't realize that in that one location, we can have up to 85 veterans staying with us. We also have 6 emergency beds.
On Grove Street?
Yes, up
Wow.
to 85 that could stay with us for up to 2 years. In that one location, that's just one location of ours. We also have a female veterans facility that will take, we have female veterans and their dependent children. We have multiple locations in
That's a good
Massachusetts.
point. Now that's something new too now because women going into the military, as many as they do now, and also in combat situations, is I'm relatively new. I mean by relatively new is probably what the last 10 years.
And I'm not certain of,
But you know, in that neighborhood, well, probably 20. You know, when I was in, I mean, I didn't see any women for 2 years,
Oh, wow.
except for now and then, nurse if you had to go to the AIDS, hospital or something. But
Yeah,
other than that,
my basic training was mixed.
you were mixed, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a lot of females, depending
Yeah.
on what the job was. You see more
It's changed a
females.
lot. It's changed tremendously.
Females are allowed to do combat MOSs now, so it's
Yeah.
a little different.
Yeah, so now your chance of a woman getting hurt is a lot higher.
Yes.
You know, during Vietnam, there were women that were killed. There were women that got hurt because they were working at an operating station or something like that. But they were medical. Now you've got combat situations, so they come back and they can have problems too.
so we have a facility just for that. And I thought
Yeah.
you meant how long had we had that facility. And I am not certain, just a number of years, but we were the first in the nation to have that.
Very
A female
important now,
veterans
and
facility.
nobody thought
Yeah.
about that in the past.
Yep. So we have that and many other services that we offer because, as you said, veterans come home and they need services. They need a
Yeah.
place, they may need a place to stay. Employment and training is really big for us.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people realize goes on. Grove Street is the former armory,
Yes,
Correct.
it is.
Yes.
the old 110 armor.
Still has a lot of the characteristics from
Yes.
its former days.
Yes. Yeah, those old armories were quite distinctive. They looked like castles.
Well, it
Yeah.
had really fallen into disrepair when it became Veterans Inc. site. So we really
Yeah, you had-
invested a tremendous amount, and volunteers patched holes and put
Yeah, the
the
state
roof
let them
in,
go.
and
They just let them deteriorate.
it was abandoned and just falling apart. But
Now,
we,
do
we
you have
saved
ownership of it now?
It is ours now.
Ah,
It
so they
is.
did turn it over to you.
It is ours. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
So we're there to stay.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful facility in that location. So many things happen. We actually run a food pantry that is the third Thursday of every
There you
month.
go.
And,
It reminds
it's
me,
a
a
tongue twister.
few years back, when this was still a hall,
Hmm.
we had a fundraiser here, a party here for a state rep. He's no longer state, he's retired now, George Peterson. And we had a chicken barbecue,
Uh-huh.
and we had a lot of chicken left over. We brought it to Grove Street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
That happens a lot. It's a pretty common thing.
Yeah,
Thankful to all the people that think about us when they're having meals and there's things left over and they feel like it'll be something suitable for our vets.
yeah. How many people you got staying there?
In that one location, we can have up to 85 stay with us for 2 years.
That's a lot of people to feed.
And it's
Yeah.
not always at full capacity, but that's not our only location. We also have across town, we have some other facilities. We have out in Devon's, we have a location there as well. And in Shrewsbury at Independence Hall. We
In
also
Shrewsbury?
have veterans
Yep.
staying there as
So
well.
it's fairly close by.
Yes.
And we can
On South
stretch as
Street.
far as Lewiston, Maine,
Hmm.
Bradford, Vermont, down
Wow.
to New Britain, Connecticut.
Yep.
So we try to stretch the arm as far as we can, and reach out as much veterans as we possibly can.
Logistically, that's a lot of work.
It sure is.
A lot of hard work from our staff.
Yeah,
It
I was
is.
gonna say, I mean, you're stretched out quite a bit.
We are, but you know, it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And as the saying is at Veterans Inc., they were there when we needed them. We must be there now that they need us, and we go where we're needed.
Yeah, I know, and I remember when you first opened up, it was amazing how many people had come in that were actually living on a street.
Yes, and that's what we started as. It was just a housing facility. It was
Yeah.
just to give a small amount of veterans a place to stay.
Right.
And then once they did that, they realized there was much more to it than just giving them a place to stay and a meal.
Yes, you give them training, don't you?
Right, employment and training,
Yeah.
and Dan, you can jump in because you've
Yeah,
been there
so
longer
it's
than me.
it's almost the gambit from the moment you get in. The goal in most of our programs is housing, of course, but along that way we try to get you employment if it's something suitable for either your age or your capabilities. Some people are disabled and can't work, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
But we try to find them employment and find ways where they can live independently once they leave our facility.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you're getting the check from the VA, it doesn't really amount to that much. The cost of living is a lot higher than what.
And I think the monetary aspect of it is almost secondary. Some of these guys are coming in chronically homeless.
Yep.
So they need to learn how to, reintegrate themselves back into society a little bit, learn how to be more independent and do things on their own. So when they do get an apartment, it doesn't all fall apart again. They understand what it takes to, clean your apartment, do your own laundry, cook your own food. So we hope to make them as independent as possible. They're in our facility, so when they make that step, they can stay in a home.
Is it part of the fact that when you leave the military, you lost that camaraderie, that family environment where, don't forget, your meals were always taken care of. You took care of yourself because you had an NCO looking over you.
Absolutely.
And then they get out and they don't know what to, it's like they broke away from their family.
And that's how I felt coming back. It's you have all this support, and then you get out, and it's you. You have to figure all of it. You have to do all the paperwork on your own. There's not a certain department or office you would go to. You're just
Right.
another person in line, and sometimes it's difficult for a veteran to deal with when
Yep.
you first get back. You're already a little disconnected from the world as it is because you've been in the military so long. So trying to reintegrate yourself is usually a challenge. A lot of challenges.
Especially if you have no family to go back to.
Absolutely.
And
a lot
that's
of guys don't.
true, a lot of guys, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of guys guys and gals go into the military to find family.
Mhm.
Because I know it's a camaraderie. I was there. I know what it's like.
Absolutely.
You make some really good friends.
Lifelong friends.
Yeah,
Some of my
I know. I'm
buddies.
still friends with two guys I served with.
See, that's how it
Well,
goes.
one of them, because the other one I think passed away. We lost touch with him,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
and we communicate. He never. One of them I communicate all the time on email, but the other guy never did email or anything, and he lived in Brooklyn, and I would write to him, and then all of a sudden I started getting the mail back.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
man, yeah.
yeah, I figured, and he was all by himself. He never
And
married.
so that's one of those scenarios where he came
Yep.
back and kind of stood by himself for so
Yeah,
long.
he was
Couldn't
alone.
have
He was a
it.
loner type,
Mhm.
and he stayed, but he was very successful. He ran the lab at the SUNY Medical Center in Brooklyn, so he
Oh,
was not a
wow.
stupid person.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
No?
Very educated, but he just liked to be alone.
Sometimes that's people's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I do hear, I write, I'm myself, I'm not a veteran, but I write our newsletter. So I'm interviewing a lot of veterans. I like to hear, sort of get their story. And you use the word camaraderie. And every time I've interviewed a veteran, they've all said that was something that they were craving was
Yep.
camaraderie.
Yep.
Every single time. Every time I've interviewed one for a newsletter.
Well, when you
I've had
think, of,
that.
and Dan can relate to this, when you're in a combat situation, you're not thinking about fighting for your country. You're fighting for the guy next to you.
Absolutely. There's no differences. You're exactly the same, no matter how many differences you might think you have
Yep.
or what's perceived. The guy that's next to you in that foxhole is your brother, and
That's
you
right.
both are trying to make it out of that hell as soon
Yep.
as possible. So you kind of forget all the noise on the outside and realize
Yeah.
that it's a real brotherhood.
And like I say, I said, well, you're fighting for, no, you're fighting to keep both of you alive.
Absolutely.
You're fighting to help one another.
Mhm.
That's why a guy will dive onto a grenade, because you really are family.
Absolutely.
You know, you die for your parents or a sibling. Well, that becomes your parents and your sibling as your as your other everybody around you.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
very
become
true.
very important. And when you separate, it's hard. And sometimes you have no choice. Some guys will probably stay in and do 20 years or 30 years, but still, sometimes you have no choice.
Right.
Especially today, I guess, because the military today, if you can't find the slot, they separate you, right?
Yeah, so I think nowadays it's a little different because there's not an urge to get more people in. Like times when we ramped up the war in Iraq,
Yep.
it was a surge. We need to get as much people into the military as
Right.
possible. Now they're a little bit more stringent.
Yeah.
The physical fitness test has changed. Some of the guidelines changed. So some of the people that were just skating by no longer allowed to do that. They're trying to make sure our fighting force is top notch.
Well, when they did away with the draft, there was concern they wouldn't get enough. But if you talk to the Joint Chiefs, for that matter, they said, we don't want the draft back. If we get a better caliber of people, we can decide who we want. We're not just taking anybody. Also, back in the 50s and the 60s, when I was in, if you got in trouble with the law, judges say, well, let's send you to jail for a year, or you can go to the military.
Everybody said military.
Yeah, not the military. Oh, we don't want them. So it's a different caliber, but we need that caliber of people in the military because today it's a lot different too.
Mhm.
It's a lot, being in that, it's a lot more technical.
Yes. A lot of jobs they have more of a technical aspect to it.
Yep.
It's just not a lot of hammer banging no more.
No.
It's a lot of thinking. So hopefully they continue to be stringent and we can just, like I said, build a better fighting force. It's
Yeah.
necessary.
I mean, even the standard grunt.
Mhm.
You have to be computer savvy now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of technology in the field with
Yeah,
you,
you need to learn those systems and how to
Yeah.
operate them. Absolutely.
and even the weaponry.
Yeah, it's different. It's starkly different.
Yeah.
There's a lot more attachments, I would say, or gadgets, so to speak, that go with a weapon more than what it did
Yep.
maybe 30, 40 years ago. So that changes. The
But
battlefield changes.
then you get out, and here again, you got a situation. You separate from the military, and you were a tank operator. Well, I don't think there's a lot of people looking for tank operators in the civilian world.
Well, I think that's where our employment and training comes in because
Yeah.
we help
Try
people
to get 'em
find
into-
jobs that would be a good fit for them.
Yes.
And what are your skills? What do you have to offer? Oh, you've never interviewed for a job. Let's help you. Well, let's work on your resume and do
Absolutely.
your interview practice.
Take you to job
and,
fairs and things. Just get you engaged
and
kind
get
of
you
build up.
dressed
Yeah,
for the
dress for
part.
success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have.
It's building up their confidence, I would say.
Yeah.
And also, the thing is that you have to convince employers that your best bet is a vet
Mhm.
because they know discipline,
Right.
they'll show up,
On time
They
or
have,
early.
yeah, they have a lot of self-discipline because you have to learn self-discipline.
Yep.
I mean, you may have an NCO looking over you, but he's not there 24/7.
Mm.
So you gotta be able to get up on your own, get out on your own.
You gotta have that integrity.
You have to have that
usually.
integrity. Yeah. So
Like, we
veterans do make excellent employers. Employees.
employees, and we actually, well, like I said, we do the employment and training. That's always ongoing at our facility. But we also have, in the summertime, we have an event called Stand Down. And we have a career fair at that. And we have so many employers now that want to come to that. We barely fit them into the career fair
Because
area.
they're getting wise to
So
it.
I think a lot of people a lot of employers are seeing exactly what
Yep.
you're saying. And
Oh, yeah.
that's why we look for employers to come to us, and we go out and we seek them so we can form those relationships and we have so many wonderful veterans that we work with. So if anyone's listening, they can connect with us and we can put some
Yes,
veterans
any
to
employers
work.
out there, by chance, if you're listening,
Yep,
this is a great bet for you.
it's wonderful.
Do you work with the chamber?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
We just
very
did an
much
event
so.
with the chamber. a
We
couple
were
days
just
ago.
at the American Heritage Museum.
Tri-chamber.
There was a tri-chamber event at that out in Hudson.
Oh,
It was
yes, I heard. I
wonderful.
want to get out there. I heard
Oh,
that's a
you
great
should.
You have to
museum.
go.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic.
It's kind of out of this world just
yeah.
to see. They're all life size, real. Formerly, the guy said you put gasoline in most of these tanks, you can crank them up. It's
amazing.
huge, but it's so rich in history. They even have a piece from the World Trade Center beam, a piece of the Berlin Wall. So yeah, I'd encourage anybody if they get a chance to go out there
Yeah,
and check
that
it
was
out.
it.
And
That's
that's in
great.
Hudson.
It's in Hudson,
Yeah.
Mass. Yeah.
It's a gem
So we
right
were at
there.
the Tri-Chamber event there. It was Marlboro Chamber of Commerce. Was it Metro West and the Worcester Chamber? I
Yep.
think those are the three.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I'm associated with the Blackstone Valley Chamber, which
Yeah.
is part of the Worcester Chamber. In
Oh wow, yeah.
fact, we do a weekly radio show with them.
Oh,
great.
yes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
With Jeannie.
But yes, with Jeannie.
She's great.
And yeah, and I know they encourage members to hire vets.
Absolutely.
And you know that we got a place opening up in Uxbridge, Metaline, I think, Metaline. They deal in medical equipment, opening up a huge facility. They're going to be looking for 600 employees.
Great.
Wow.
Great.
So that's something you want to check with.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Jeannie
I'm
on
sure we
because
can-
I've been dealing with them. I'm trying to work out with them. They want to do a commercial on WCRN for their job fair. But there's a lot of jobs, and they're good paying jobs.
Yeah,
That's
maybe we
great.
can make sure
We'll
we get
have
some
to.
vets out there
Thanks
to
for
that.
that
Yeah.
tip. We'll be reaching out.
Yeah, I want
And
to
our
get into.
staff might already have, but we'll check.
Yeah, they
check
might.
on
They
that.
probably already looked into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
We'll
have some
double
pretty.
check.
We have a lot of go-getters on the squad. So
Yeah, you got a big. Well, of course, Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple of weeks now. God,
Going
time's
so
flying by.
fast.
so fast.
I just hope the winter flies by.
Oh, it's cold already. Too
I
cold.
know, it is horrible.
I know.
It's
I wasn't
This
ridiculous.
is
ready
too soon.
Yes, it is.
Jeez. Well, last year we had snow in October, if you remember.
Yeah, so and we
And
had.
it
we
didn't
probably,
snow again until what, January?
So I guess you take what you get.
So maybe we get the cold now, we won't get it again until February.
You never
Because
know.
that's the bad one, February.
Yes.
Crazy.
But Tuesday, November 26th, you have a holiday harvest,
Yes.
which you're going to feed veterans.
The holiday harvest, it's not a sit-down meal for veterans. What it is that we're ready for about 500 veterans to come, and we give
Wow.
them a big box and fill it with everything that they need
All
for
the
a Thanksgiving
fixings,
meal.
the turkey and all the
So
fixings.
it's
Even a
not the
pie.
veterans that are staying in our housing facilities. They're veterans that are going to go home to their house and have a meal and not have to worry about the expenses
Yep.
of getting the turkey and all the stuffing. So we ask our community to donate items such as turkeys, cranberry sauce, box stuffing, potatoes, canned vegetables,
Corn.
So
all
if
of
anyone
that.
wants to donate,
They can bring it to Grove Street.
bring it to Grove Street in Worcester.
Or you can also sponsor a meal. So if
Yes.
you're not going to go out shopping and bring stuff, sponsor a meal. It starts at $45.
Well, if somebody wants to mail you a check,
Mhm.
why don't we get that out there?
Sure. You just make it out to Veterans Inc.
Yeah.
and send it to 69 Grove Street.
Worcester, Mass.
in Worcester, Mass.
You have a zip?
What are we? Oh,
01605.
that's it. Yeah.
That's important now.
Yeah,
Yes.
I forgot. But you can also go online, right onto our website,
Yeah, Veterans Inc.
veteransinc.org. You
And
go
you can
under
make a
the events
donation on the
section.
website.
Yeah,
Yeah,
events.
which
Absolutely.
everybody does today.
It's
Yeah.
a little easier. Some people
Yeah.
don't want to be stuck in some of the more cumbersome
So it's
tasks.
been great.
So-
We've
Yeah.
already had people signing up to sponsor meals. Like I said, they start at $45, and
But you don't have
yeah.
to sponsor a meal if you can't afford the 45. If you send them even $10,
Anything helps.
anything, yeah, it all adds up.
Drop off a can of cranberries.
Yeah.
Everything helps because it's a really fantastic event. It means a lot.
Yeah, and now
means a
if
lot.
you're a veteran, you have to qualify. I'm sure that you're not going to just hand it to anybody.
Right. You just have to be a veteran.
Oh, you just have to be a veteran?
Just show that you're a
That's it.
veteran. I mean, it's
That's it.
geared.
Oh.
It's geared toward veterans
So,
in need.
but I'm saying to
but-
veterans, be honest about it. If you can afford the meal, don't take a meal from someone who can't.
Oh, absolutely.
But we'll have enough for everybody.
You're right.
And we have our sponsors are Table Talk Pies.
Yeah,
They
A
give
lot
us all
of
the
pies in
pies,
the building.
so it's a nice thing. We don't have to have that.
they're a great
expensive.
organization.
TD Bank
They're
has been
very
great.
good about that. They do that with a lot of people.
Yeah, this isn't their first year donating to
Yeah,
us.
that's
They've been
great.
good, so we're
Usually.
very grateful for that. And then TD Bank's been awesome.
And TD Bank is a financial sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
But-
fantastic.
That's got to be a lot of work for you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like an army of volunteers,
It
Yeah.
is.
army of staff
Yep.
members.
So that's another
Um,
thing. If someone wants to help out, they can go down to Grove Street, and you'll be more than glad to take them in as a volunteer.
I think right now for this particular event, because it's
You-
such an undertaking, we've got them all lined
Oh,
up.
okay. Yeah,
But
you gotta do that in advance, because God forbid that day come and you don't have
we
anybody.
have to be organized. We're
Yeah.
very much into organization.
Absolutely.
But that when you're talking about volunteers, we're always looking for volunteers. In
Yep.
fact, last night I did a presentation for about 17 new volunteers.
Oh,
So we're always looking for new volunteers. I don't have a new volunteer information session set up. In fact, we might not have any more starting until after the holidays because we get everybody prepared for that as well. But if anyone's interested in volunteering, just give us a call.
right, yeah.
Happy to talk.
Any time of the year.
Oh yeah,
Anytime.
Yep.
because we are all year,
Yeah.
every day.
We have volunteers that serve lunch, that serve
Yeah.
dinner. Come help in the
Drivers.
drivers, come help out in the food bank, help sort all those canned goods that are coming
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in. We have volunteers working there diligently all week trying to sort these
Well, were you
items.
doing meals too for the ones that are staying there?
Mhm.
Yep,
That's pretty time consuming.
right.
Yeah.
Was it 3 meals a
They
day?
get 3 meals a day, two hot meals.
2
a
hot
day.
meals.
So yeah,
Yeah.
continental breakfast in the morning. Some days it changes. Some days there is a more cooked breakfast available, but it's not something that always happens.
Yeah.
But guarantee they will get a hot lunch and a hot dinner.
And then we have groups that will sometimes come in and do like real fancy, like meals. And
Sponsored dinner, lasagna. A church
Yeah.
comes and does a lasagna night. Another church comes and does like ribs and barbecue type food. So, I mean, it changes, and that's why we encourage volunteers to come, because if they have something in mind that might, think that they can make the vets happy,
Yeah.
the vets are always open to expanding the menu, so to speak.
This is great. We see people standing on a corner, Vietnam vet, and looking for. I wonder how many of them are actually. Sometimes I wonder about that. You got a facility here. If you really want to help them, here's where you
There.
know you're helping a vet.
It's there, and they can we're open anytime. We do get referrals. Some places will send us veterans via referrals, but we get people who just walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we keep that open door. We're open 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Now,
and 24
how do you
hours.
qualify them? They have to show you a DD 214?
So there's basic eligibility verification. A DD 214 is the quickest and fastest way to find out a veteran status. Some people who are coming out of being chronically homeless, or whatever their situation is,
Don't have
they're not
any
always going to
paperwork.
have their
Don't
right
have
documents.
that,
It's not going to
yeah.
be too often a guy coming out of a camp is going to have a briefcase full of the right documentation.
Right.
So we help
Get
them
that.
as well obtain that documentation. So we know all the resources to contact to try to get some of their documents in order. And once we can establish that, then we'll go forward with it. But we still would bring them in the house. She mentioned earlier, we have 6 emergency beds for service members that may just not qualify as a normal veteran in our other programs.
Yeah.
The goal is to bring as much people off the street as possible and get them the help. If you don't qualify for one reason or the next, our door doesn't shut. We're more likely going to try to open doors in other places to try to get you the help.
That's an important word you just said, to help. These guys are on the street for reasons that we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that they want to be.
No.
They just don't know any other life in a lot of situations. And they just need someone to help them out and guide them and get them on the right track.
Well, another thing that sometimes will be a factor in that, of course, is substance addiction.
Yes.
So we have a substance addiction treatment center in
Yep.
Shrewsbury, the Independence Hall. And we are let's make sure I say this correctly, we are the only veteran non-profit organization that has a substance addiction treatment center.
Oh my God! I mean, that's important because it's so easy to get addicted to something while when you're in a combat situation.
Or when you come out and you don't
When
have
you come out and you have
family.
You don't have family or anything.
You can fall into
Yeah.
addiction, and it's a real struggle for those guys. And
But if you get hurt bad, they put you on the opioids.
they start you off.
Yeah, get you started.
Mm-hmm. And that's the goal of our CSS program. Is to
Of course,
kind of bring people out
well,
of that.
I'm in the Vietnam era. I mean, it was if you were in Nam, it was easy for the heroin, the marijuana was so prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
You come home addicted. You're not even realizing you're getting addicted.
Mm.
The
That's,
leading cause of death for 50 and under is that. So it's a very important place. We're going on, I believe it's 3 years now.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 years that we've had Independence Hall. It's run by Dennis Leary, who's our executive director. He's been with us for a number of years, not the actor.
No, I was gonna say,
But a lot of people
familiar
from
sounding
Worcester,
name.
a lot of people from Worcester will know Dennis. He's
Yeah.
dealt in the mental health care for quite a while. They do an amazing job over there. It's a wonderful place. From the moment you walk into the Independence Hall program, you feel healthier. It's calming there. It's a beautiful 22-acre facility.
You know you're going to get help.
It just feels
Yeah,
you're on the
you know
right.
you're going to feel better.
They have, when you first walk in, the receptionist is super friendly. And then they have, on the left, they have the New Leaf Cafe, and while you're filling out the paperwork, so it doesn't have that intimidating feeling
Yeah.
of like you're in an institution because you're dealing with
Yeah, if you go to a
addiction.
medical center,
It doesn't have that
Walls,
feeling.
walls are white.
yeah, it's institutionalized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, what
Chairs
am I
are
doing
hard.
here?
Yeah.
No, and so it's really, and to have something like that is veteran specific or veteran focused. But
Yeah.
even as I say it's veteran focused, they'll take in veterans, family members, and non-veterans. So it's great
Yeah, because
because
they're family members that have problems
yeah,
too.
yeah, and it's really it's open to the public.
Yeah.
But it's, if you're a veteran, you're having addiction treatment, an addiction problem, you want to go to a facility that understands veterans. So
Yes.
Independence Hall.
A lot of people realize that veterans know each other better, and they speak their own language.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable too. I
Yeah.
found that at headquarters, when I'm dealing or interacting with veterans, I can reach a different level than some of my peers who are not veterans. And it's not to say that they're not as effective or more effective in their job than I am or anything like that, but certain veterans just feel comfortable talking to another veteran.
Yeah.
That just might be what they need to break the ice and kind of open up. And sometimes we got to kind of identify that and handle the situations in a way where it makes them more comfortable to accept the help.
Well, you go back to the camaraderie thing.
Yeah.
You feel for one another. Hey, we both graduated from the same college.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why veterans organizations came about, so veterans could relate to one
One
another.
veteran to another, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the president of Veterans Inc. is Vin Peroni. He himself is a veteran, so
Yeah.
he is a veteran of the Air Force, Lieutenant Colonel. So it's from all different levels. We have veterans there who
And
understand.
do you get much help from the veterans organizations?
Yep, we work with the VA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
some of our programs are funded through the VA.
No, I'm talking about the
VSOs, things like that.
the veterans organizations like the American Legion, VFW, the DAV.
We get a lot of support from those organizations, and we're really grateful and proud of our relationships that we have.
'Cause,
So yes, we do.
They're finding, I know we're finding, a lot of young veterans aren't getting involved, aren't joining.
Mhm.
And it's a shame in a lot of ways because these organizations started up because veterans felt they needed someone to look out for them. And, if you didn't have the American Legion after World War II, you wouldn't have had the GI Bill.
I think for that, based on my own experience, you walk into American Legion, being a young veteran.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're so tight knit. They
Yeah.
know everybody.
I know, and
Everybody turns over in the chair and says, "Who's this young whippersnapper?" So it's
I
kind
know
of
what you're
trying to
saying.
break because they're different eras of war.
Yep.
They've seen certain things. We're in a different era of war, so I think veterans as a whole, we just need to work on breaking the generational stigmas that we have
Yep.
and understanding like this is your brother. He's just your much younger brother, but he's still your brother.
I saw that. I joined American Legion in '71, and it was all World War II guys. Couple World War One, in fact, at the time. World War II in Korea. And here, right here, in fact, this Legion in Northbridge right now, there was another one in the village of Whitensville, and they went out of business. They started after World War One, when the Legion first started. Actually, the Legion started at World War One.
Yeah.
In fact, it started in France when they got together, and the first Legion in this town was in Whitensville. When these guys came home from World War II, they felt rejected by the World War One Legion from their own post.
Right.
So you see, this is not something that's new.
It's been
Right.
happening.
It's been
forever.
happening with every war.
Yeah.
We are now, what we got left here now, that come to our meetings we're all Vietnam. We got a couple of guys that are Iraq, but so we're reaching. We're more understanding. We know what that was like.
Oh, I see.
So we
'Cause
take it
I'm
in.
still not part of the Legion, and as I was trying to be interested in joining,
But a
one, I
lot
ran
of your
into that.
posts that you're like that. But if you get in, you'll be surprised. After a while, they start.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you first get in the military. You gotta warm up to the
Yeah.
the junior enlisted. It's
Yeah.
still a private right now. We'll get you in shape.
Yeah.
We'll get you up and going.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I hate to see organizations disappear because they really do help one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the only place where a veteran feels comfortable going for the help.
Yeah.
So that's why it's at Veterans Inc. It's our job to kind of break some of those barriers and let them know that all the help that they can need is with us, and hopefully they feel the same way and they're open enough to allow us to help them.
I think you're a good story there now, because you came out
Mhm.
and you didn't really get involved with Veterans Inc. for a while.
No, I when I first came out the military, so I
Now,
got out.
give me your story. I think it's
Yeah,
a good
so
one.
I was born and raised in Worcester my whole life. I went into the military in 2009, and I served until 2013. I did a tour of duty in Iraq
Yeah.
for about 350-something days in the sandbox. So places I've been, I did my training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and then I went off to my first duty station, and my only duty station was Fort Hood, the great place.
Yeah.
So did my time there. So when I came out the military, you're not really sure. You get a little time off. I had about 2 months saved up, so I was still getting paid. So I was home, thinking I'm a civilian, still knowing I'm getting paid for the military. And as that day approaches, you start thinking, what are you gonna do? Most people say, oh, you should just go right into school. I got to school in 2009. 4 years later, the last thing I was thinking about was going back into school. So I'm like, all right, I'm a working man. I was in the military. I need to get a job. I need to work. So I did a few jobs. I ended up working security at a couple colleges, Wellesley for Mass Bay Community College. So I worked security at a couple locations. And then I got a job with the cable company working for Charter.
Uh-huh.
And then I realized I don't really want to lug around a 27-foot ladder anymore. I'm only 5'5".
Yeah.
And I think I just added an inch, so let's not tell everybody that. So I didn't really want to do that. So I ended up working for a logistics company doing more business-oriented work. And then I was like, I kind of want a second job. I want a little bit more money. Heard about Vets Inc. So I'm like, let me apply for Veterans Inc. Maybe I'll do like once a weekend type deal. Cool. So I went in, I interviewed for that job. Before I got that job, a couple days later, they were like, hey, your interview was really good. Would you mind coming and interviewing for a different job? So I interviewed for it. They gave it to an internal applicant, but said, just come and take the other post that you originally applied for. Let's get you in the door. I worked it 1 week, and then I got moved upstairs to operations. So I did something right. So
Yeah.
as soon as I moved to operations, now when you work in operations, you're kind of the backbone. It's kind of like an NCO. You're the backbone of the whole
Yeah.
operation. So in order for everybody to do their job for the veterans, you have to make sure they have everything they need. So I worked operations for a couple years, went back downstairs to the desk, and took over the desk. The job that I started working for, I became the supervisor of that desk. And now I'm the program manager for a veteran housing rehab program.
Wow.
So for it's like home repairs for low income veterans.
Yeah.
So it's been a fast 3 years, I would say, but I just try to put my best foot forward every day I get in the job.
And you love what you do.
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's so much easier to come to work knowing that there's other veterans that either have gone through what I've gone through or experiencing things, and it's just make no mistake about it. All of us can be a couple steps away from being in the same shoes they are.
Yep.
So I take that into a lot of consideration when I come into work, and I understand what they're going through. I can be right there with a couple bad decisions. So I keep that in mind, and I'm grateful.
Well, see, I always say that when you get a job, I just tell my sons this, and they both get a job they like. Get a job you like, because you're going to spend more time at that than you do anything else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So get a job. I was always in sales. I love sales. I'm 71 years old and I'm still in sales because I love selling.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. If you get a job you like, you will always want to do it. If you like what you do, you don't mind going to work every day.
No. It's so
And
much
you enjoy
easier.
it.
Yeah, it's so much easier to wake up.
Yeah.
And like any job, certain days.
Well, yeah, that's why they call it a job.
But there's much less of that than if, say, I was working a retail job or somewhere where I wasn't realizing my potential, or
Right.
I wasn't having an impact on people's lives on a daily basis.
Yeah, this organization seems to recognize potential, and like the military does.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely. You work, it's hopefully like most jobs, you work your tail off, you do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
Be at the right place at the right time in the right uniform, kind of like we are in the military, and you should see progress in life. That's the goal.
And you're doing a great thing. And we get into that now, since you are housing rehabilitation, and you have
Yeah,
a
this
housing
one right here.
rehabilitation and modification program.
Yeah, so it's a new
Which,
program. We
yeah.
just got funded through HUD, so the Housing of Urban Development. So basically, to keep it, it's the Veterans Housing Rehabilitation and Modification Program. That's a long acronym. So to keep it short and sweet, it's the home repairs program.
Yep.
So basically, low-income disabled veterans who need modifications for accessibility or rehab work done to their home, we're there to do it. Whether you need a wheelchair ramp, you need doors widened,
Yeah.
thresholds removed, counters lowered, your
Right.
roof's messed up, you need that. Maybe you have some mold that you couldn't get remedied, you can't afford to get it fixed. Maybe there's some plumbing work. So it's really a lot of different services we can provide that cover. But the goal is to keep low-income disabled veterans in their home, living independent, and continue to be part of their communities.
I can see, well, you know where you come really important is, these programs are offered by HUD.
Hmm.
But if you don't have a group like yours locally, there's no way of getting them getting those, getting to the right people.
Yes, we have to facilitate it, and
Yeah.
that's our goal. It's a pilot program, but HUD gave us the funding, but it's
Yeah.
up to us to build the program, create
Yeah.
the program, and make sure we're
Yeah,
doing
because if you
everything we
weren't
can.
there, these people can't go to HUD and get the money.
No, they're not going to call
Right.
DC up. So
No.
and this program covers all 6 New England states.
And that's extremely important, especially a veteran who may not be disabled when they first released, but later on in life, they got a disability that came about because of something that happened.
And yeah, sometimes people think low income, they might have a misconception about it. But you think
Yeah.
about it, this guy bought his house 1970 something,
Yeah,
ended up retiring. Now he's on a fixed income.
yeah.
Well, he might not understand what other people might understand, but fixed income might often be low income.
It might be just Social Security.
It might just be what he's getting, so that
Yeah.
might qualify him. And now that he's disabled
Yep.
and he's on a fixed income, he can afford to shell out $4,000 to fix his roof.
Right.
So, if he's eligible for our program and everything checks out, that's what we're there for. It's at no cost to the veteran at all. Only thing that it's going to cost the veteran is a little bit of time, but not much like work. I'm going to try to be there every step of the way to make sure we kind of push it through. And
And
get
you
the
go
work
out and
done.
you find the contractors and,
Yeah, from top to bottom, and I actually did a lot of that work this week. So I go out, assess the problem, review their application, go and take pictures, find out what the issue is, and then call up some contractors, get a few quotes, make the best decision, send it up, get it approved, and then we can start the work. So it's a process. Anytime
Yeah.
you're dealing with Any type of funding that comes from the government, it's not always the easiest process. But that's our job, is to make it as easy on the veteran as possible and let us deal with the headaches.
I think it's extremely important, especially now where people that go into the military choose to.
Absolutely.
And, they say, well, yeah, but they're getting education. It's not an easy life.
No.
Right.
And it's not easy. Like you say, you were in the sandbox for a year.
Hmm.
It's not easy there.
No, at 120 degrees on most days.
I don't know how
it's not
people
easy.
live there.
Yeah, and it was weird because one of the during the first few months that I was in Iraq, be on guard duty, and then I can see people going up at night and they sleep on the roof. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like,
Because it's so hot.
what's going on? And then the guy was like, no, that's what they do because it's so hot. They sleep
Yeah.
on the roof because it's cooler at night.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, geez, how spoiled are we in America? Because what I do when it gets hot, I get up, I click on the AC,
Yeah.
and I lay back down.
Yeah.
So just experiencing that and seeing the life that people live in a whole separate world. Like, we're on ancient lands. We're in Iraq, so it's like ancient Babylonia.
Yeah.
So we're on almost hallowed ground, so to speak. So just to see the life they live, it makes you appreciate. I came back home. I got off that plane to Texas, and I kissed that ground on that tarmac because it felt so good to be back in America. Because I had a different appreciation for all the things that we have that normally you take for granted. Leave the water running for 4 minutes, you forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. But to other people in different countries, you just got rid of water they would have probably drank for the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Especially if you're way out in the desert.
Absolutely. So it's a lot of perspective you get.
Yeah. It's a whole different world. I mean, everything, all your facilities, your hygiene, it's a lot tougher.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing, you can sleep on a roof there because there's no mosquitoes anyway. That's about the only good thing.
Everything is just dry here.
Yeah.
But there's probably what are they, camel spiders? About like this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
There's always
some
and
scary
snakes.
little things,
Wow.
snakes, scorpions.
Scorpions.
These scorpions that look just like the color of the sand, so you probably wouldn't notice them until
Yeah.
they're on your
Yeah.
boot. So
And
I mean,
they're
there's-
poisonous too. So
I think I'd rather stick with the mosquitoes.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll take a mosquito.
Yeah. It's a different world, and the landscape, very boring.
Yeah, it's just best word to describe it. It's a lot of trash out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you go into a country and it's war torn, there's not a lot of reconstruction and cleanup.
Right.
It's not like in a war torn country there's going to be a big department for sanitation going around cleaning up trash. So you see that it's much different. You go on the highway here and you see a lot of trash. Next month it's going to probably be somebody out there cleaning it up.
Right.
And not the same there. And that kind of poses a risk driving down the road. You need to find out if this is trash or is this an IED.
Yes.
Which is which.
Well, that's the other thing too. You're in a war where you don't know where the front line is.
That's the hardest part about this war. There's not a detailed, there's not a view that, like, this is the enemy, this is what they look like, this is their uniform, this is where their opposition's at. It's just they're mixed in with the locals, and it becomes very difficult to kind of assess the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, in other wars you had a boundary and you say, okay, after this, that's where they're located. You don't have that. They're everywhere around you.
Yeah, right next to you sometimes.
Yeah,
As
it could
we
be
see in
working
the
with you
news.
for all you know.
Absolutely. That's the tough part.
It's a
about it.
whole different, and add to the fact that you're also being regulated from the Pentagon as to what you can do.
Yeah, with Geneva Conventions, basically.
Yeah.
Certain things you can do that are acceptable during a time of war or during peacetime.
Yeah.
So there's just different ways to approach it, I would say.
Yeah. Well, look at how many guys we got that have been court-martialed and are in jail for killing someone who was actually going to kill them.
Yeah, it's just, I think, without speaking too much on any situation which I don't have all the information, some things have to be done humanely, I would say.
Yeah.
But for me being a Army veteran, the enemy's the enemy.
Right.
And for me, that's just baseline. It doesn't really matter anything after that.
See, I listen to you guys, and I think of all that you have to process that, and then you have to come home.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
that's
mean,
what we're
wow.
here for.
And then you're like,
You're fighting
come
war.
home
When
and
you
then
fight a
how
war,
do you
there's no
adjust?
rules in war.
No,
Yeah.
There shouldn't be.
They like to make rules, but there really are no rules.
Right.
You're there to kill them before they kill you.
Mm.
And then you come home, and now you can live by rules.
And now you
And
have
now you
to
just
get
have
in line
to
at
walk
the
down the
DMV.
street and all that.
Yeah, so those are those challenges that we were speaking of. That
why we're here.
when they come to Veterans Inc., we're trying to break that type of thinking. We're trying to
Yep.
let them know that here's a bunch of people here that are going to put their arm around you.
Yep.
So they're going to extend the hand out, and if you want to receive the help, we're there to give it to you. So the goal is come home and know that there's somebody there for you, and hopefully you can find us or we find you.
And with the wars we got now, you got a situation where, when they fought World War II and they liberated France, the people loved them. They didn't worry about the people hurting them. They were kissing them.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you're fighting in Iraq along with these people, and you don't know if the guy next to you is ready to shoot you in the back of the head.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. They don't show appreciation.
Yeah, it's a different landscape out there in the world.
Yeah,
But I think the
so
world
you
as
got
a
to come
whole-
back to that.
Yeah, you have to.
Then you come back, and how do you adjust?
Yeah,
And that's why
you
gotta,
don't know how to act anymore. You don't. Can I trust that person? I couldn't do it over there. I can.
I think that's one thing that makes Veterans Inc. so special. Yes, you may come home and be homeless, and you could go find housing somewhere else. But if you find you need a place that gets what your issue and what people that have been around, what you've just dealt with.
And then you got a I think there is some prejudice against veterans with some people too. They might think that they're a killer. Hey, we got a call. There's some.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, caller. You're on. Whoops. Let me get it. They try it again. Okay, now you're on.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Barry.
Okay. I'd like to start off saying I'm a veteran of the Vietnam era, and I would like to thank you both for your, for the program and everything you're doing for veterans. As Harry can attest to, a lot of these programs weren't there for the Vietnam era veterans, and a lot of things you had to find out on your own, and there was a lot of frustration. But I just wanted to bring up to the viewers out there that since 9/11, 3.2 million Americans have served in the military for the global war on terror.
That's an amazing number, isn't it?
Yes, and one of the side effects of not having a draft is that you have to do a lot more many tours in combat zones because you don't have the people. Like if you remember during the draft, Harry, there was a lot of people in the military, and that draft was bringing people in, and so you didn't have the redundant tours in combat zones that you do have now. And so that's another thought. Even though there isn't a draft, there's that a lot more extra pressure being put on.
Well, you got career people that are doing multiple tours
when they get
over
out.
and over.
Yeah, I got a buddy who did 3 tours.
Yeah.
And he's on his way to Alaska, which he'd probably end up doing another tour duty.
And what a stress that's going to put on the family.
Right.
Yeah, because they deal, and that's another thing is people don't realize what the veteran goes through, his family goes through.
Yes.
Sometimes it's worse. Sometimes they have to go through it. So that's why we're there for veterans and their families, because we know it goes beyond the veterans sometimes.
Yeah. You got something, Barry?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that because because my good friend's father, he was killed in Vietnam, and after he got killed, his family suffered a lot, and there really wasn't a lot of support services for them. And I'm glad that there's, like I said, groups like you have out there now to help families like that. And the other thing I was thinking, you may have already done it, but to let the head social worker at the VA Worcester Outpatient Clinic on Grove Street know about that Thanksgiving meal program, because they may know or get the information out to a lot of veterans
Yes, we want to get the word out to everybody, all
Yeah.
the veterans, any avenue that we can. So thank you for mentioning that.
All right.
I know we've been reaching out, trying to get to all of the other organizations and to Ed O'Connor, the city. I know the city does know about it happening because it's such a tradition now. But yeah, thanks, Barry. I
I know
appreciate
Hank
that.
Stoll was at your place on
He
Veterans
was
Day.
pancake
Yeah, just on-
breakfast.
just on the radio,
Yeah,
Hank.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. Getting
And-
the message out there.
And lastly, the other thing we have to think about the high amount of veterans committing suicide. I think
Yes.
there's 21
Yes.
or 22 veterans a day committing suicide. And like I said, if it wasn't for programs like Veterans Inc. and other programs and VSOs, as you mentioned, Harry, that I believe that number would be a lot higher. In closing, I just want to thank you for what you do, and thank you, Harry, for having them on tonight. And
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Okay.
Let's go. We got a call.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of calls at night because they tell me, well, I didn't call because you asked all the questions. So, because I'm pretty good at coming up with questions. But they're watching, and they're watching intently, and they don't want to call because they don't want to interrupt what's going on.
Well, one thing that we didn't mention is, and I think it is important to note, and people do ask, are we a nonprofit? Veterans Inc. is a nonprofit.
Yes.
Often confused with the VA, so there's a distinction there, and I just wanted to make sure that people did know that we're a nonprofit. And yes,
And you're independent of any government organization.
we do get some funding.
Yeah, you get funding,
we get funding,
but you're an
we're not-
independent organization.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So with that said, the leadership giving officer and me will come out now and say, you know, we always do appreciate the support from our community, businesses, foundations, and all of that.
Any donations are good.
Yes. Yes. It's probably my phone. I think that's my telephone.
Oh,
ringing over there.
okay.
Sorry.
That's all
Thought
right.
I shut that off. I apologize.
Usually happens to me, and I usually leave it over on the
That
table.
would be my work phone too.
Oh.
So.
That's what happens on live TV.
Yeah. She's a hard working
That's
woman,
fine.
so it's stuff.
But now we got Independence Hall. We want to get through all these.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a very nice place.
It is absolutely beautiful.
That's those
and,
22 acres she mentioned earlier.
It used to be the Cavalry Retreat Center on South Street. And
On Charles Street in
South Street.
South Street in
South Street
Shrewsbury.
in Shrewsbury.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Isn't it
Wow,
gorgeous?
it's like a resort hotel.
So you go in there and you have a substance addiction issue. You need treatment. That's the place you want to go.
You got the right name because you're giving them independence.
Exactly.
Independence.
Yeah.
Hall,
Independence from that drug,
Mhm.
from that addiction.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing
yeah,
to have to deal
You
with.
gain
but-
control of your life again.
Yeah, it's really, that is an amazingly beautiful place, and they don't just do, therapy. They do Tai Chi and all kinds of holistics, and it's great.
Absolutely.
That's an important fact. I've had people on in the past talking about that. You get into these exercises,
Mhm.
and that really works.
We have an exercise room there. It's got beautiful equipment, and the other
Yeah.
thing that we really focus on when they're in that program is the nutrition. So, I mean, even not in the program, with any of the veterans staying with us, that's a focus. But really, the people that are going through the addiction treatment center, food, the nutrition is a really big focus.
Well, that's a big part of getting rid of your addiction
And exercise, yes.
and changing your your body physically
Mhm.
through nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
That gets you off your
So
addiction.
we're there in all different ways, from our housing to the employment training, the substance addiction, the
I don't
events
think people
like
realize
this.
you're doing so much for veterans because we
Oh.
think there's not enough being done. But
Then they
Still,
see,
yeah,
they
still.
just see us as that 6 guys out front on Grove Street, and now,
Yeah.
now you know we're so much more.
Yeah, we're so much more than just the shelter, and I think that's been our goal the last couple years I've been on. Is anytime you hear that, is just to kind of re-educate people and give them the information that we're much more than a shelter. We're New England's leading provider of services for veterans and their families, so that's something we can hang our hat on. But there's so
Yep.
much work to be done, so we haven't hung the hat yet because there's so much more to do.
And the way these wars are going, it's gonna be a long time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll be there.
It'll be we'll be
We'll
and
be
hopefully
there.
we've
Yep.
been 30 years now almost, so we're hoping to be another 30
And of
more.
course, your veterans range in the, from the 20s up to 80s and 90s.
Yeah, we've
probably.
had 19-year-old veterans stay with us. For one reason or another, why they exited the military either early or for some reason, or maybe it was a medical
Yep.
discharge, and all the way from guys that are around your age. So
Yeah.
it all changes. They all have different
Different needs,
capacities or
different
incapacities.
problems, and
Yeah, everybody has a different problem, but the goal is when they come in that building, they realize that you have your problems, he has his problems. You're here to work on your problems, not everybody else's. You can focus on you, but understand that you have brothers around you that can kind of talk you through it or run you through it because they're going through it at the same
Yeah.
time.
yeah, if you go there, you're going right back to the camaraderie that you left.
And some guys want it, and
Yeah.
often some guys struggled leaving our programs because
Yeah,
they love it so much.
Yeah,
and
they're afraid to
well,
go
they get
away.
nervous, and
And
now they have to go live independently. So that's what I was going back to what I was saying earlier about empowering them, making sure they understand that they have to live independently. So when they leave, they don't have that fear.
yeah, because that's basically the problem they had. They couldn't be independent, they could be on their own. They missed what the military taking care of them, and now they need it back. But you got to teach them they got to be on their own eventually.
They can do it without Uncle Sam,
Yep.
and we're trying to empower them to do
And
so.
and sometimes that's why people will think that they want them to, don't you want to hurry up and get them their own place? It's not always the goal. They need to get to that point, like you were saying, so that they can.
It's a bigger problem than just get them a place. Because if you throw a guy in an apartment and he doesn't have the other tools to succeed or to live independently, he's not going to have that apartment for very long.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's the goal, is to get them worked up so they understand their value, understand that they're special. They're a special kind of people that decide to join the military, and that's something to be proud about, not something to be ashamed about.
No. You served. You got a reason to be proud.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're running short here, so I want to show. Look, if you want to make a donation, you can do it online.
veteransinc.org.
Veteransinc.org. Or you can stop over on Grove Street, drop off anything you want,
Anything clothes.
cash, groceries, clothing.
Yep.
You'll take anything.
Yes, we will.
Pretty much.
Graciously.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty
And
much. So.
Pretty much.
it's pretty much easy to get there. You just exit at Belmont Street and come down and.
Yeah, and it's 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours. So
So you're open all the time.
yeah, so if you're leaving the house at 9 o'clock at night and you feel like you want to get rid of that bag of clothing that you wanted to donate in your car, don't be shy. Stop by.
The CQ will be there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, our command post will be open.
Yeah.
It's manned 24/7.
My old military talk.
There you go, CQ.
CQ, charge of quarters.
Okay.
Yeah, you pull like 24-hour duties.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing you had mentioned about just about keeping up with all that we have going on, I should mention that we have a newsletter that we send out. I write it, so
Oh.
it's a well-written newsletter. But really, it's
So if you
people
go
can to our-
online and register for the newsletter?
Yeah, go to our website. It's again veteransinc.org, and you can sign up for our newsletter. I don't inundate people with it, but I do inform them of new programs that we have coming out, our events. We put in there is a monthly testimonial from a veteran that's gone through our program.
Oh.
It kind of tells why they came to us and what we did, and now what they're doing. So that's really neat.
Now, do you
like
get
that.
that by email or do you? Oh,
Yep.
okay. See, that's the way to do it today.
Yep, just on email.
Oh,
So
they're giving me the word. We got to run. Well, thank you for coming in.
thanks for
Appreciate it.
having
Thank you
us.
so
And
much.
happy
great.
Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thanks.
And we'll see you next week. My guest is going to be Jeannie Hebert and some other ladies from the Shop Small. See you next week.